Good evening, everybody. It's Dr. Smalktalk here of the Disgruntled 3, and I'd like to introduce to you a new series we're thinking of doing. Probably be a weekly series, and we're going to entitle it Tales from the Darklands. Stories of the paranormal, places like the Bermuda Triangle, UFO sightings, ghost stories, that sort of thing. Try and bring it out on a Wednesday night. We hope you enjoy everything. We're going to go with our first tale tonight, and that is entitled A Survivor Tells His Story, about a gentleman who not only went through the Bermuda Triangle once and had a mysterious incident occur, but twice. And we will now take it away with the interesting tale of Mr. Dick Stern. Nobody knows exactly how many planes have disappeared without a trace in the Bermuda Triangle. It's very certain, though, that one man has gone through two terrifying and unexplained experiences and lived to tell about them. That man is the aforementioned Dick Stern of Atlanta, Georgia. Mr. Stern was in the Air Force during World War II. In December of 1944, he left the United States for Italy. There were 7 bombers in the flight, and they all stopped on Bermuda to refuel and rest. The weather was beautiful when they left the island. A full moon was shining, and the night was bright with stars. Conditions couldn't have possibly been better. Bermuda was only an hour behind them when everything suddenly went wrong. The heavy bomber that Stern was in was flipped over onto its back and went completely out of control. The pilot and co-pilot were strapped into their seats, but the other 9 men found themselves on the ceiling. The plane was hurled back and forth, up and down, at an incredible rate of speed. The men who weren't wearing their safety belts were thrown around like balls. They were on the ceiling one second and pinned to the floor the next. Everything in the plane was flying wildly about. Both the pilot and co-pilot fought furiously for altitude. They were big, powerful men, and they pulled and heaved at their wheels with all their combined strength. The cold, green waters of the Atlantic were coming closer and closer, but the mysterious force refused to let them go. They were saved by a miracle. The plane was so close to the water that the propellers were churning up whitecaps. Death was staring them in the face, and only at the last possible second did they finally fight free of the unknown force that had been trying to destroy them. The big bomber came out of its diving somersault, levelled off, and slowly began its climb back up into the sky. The men were in no condition to continue the flight. They had undergone a terrifying experience, and needed time to recover. The pilot banked the plane and set his course for Bermuda. As soon as they landed, they were given some bad news. 5 of the 7 bombers that had left the island only a little more than an hour earlier had been lost at sea. None of them had even radioed in a distress call. An intense search for the 5 missing bombers produced nothing. Neither could anything be learned from the pilots of the 2 planes that had managed to get safely back to Bermuda. They simply did not know what had happened to them. The planes had flown into a strange force. Was it a known phenomenon, such as clear air turbulence? It was impossible to know. The military authorities were completely confused. They had no idea as to what had happened. The entire thing defied explanation. It couldn't have been the weather because the night had been bright and starry. Pilot error could be discounted because the 7 pilots certainly wouldn't all make the same mistake at the exact same time. Mechanical difficulties could also be ruled out. Something had caused 7 big bombers to go out of control, but nobody knew exactly what the mysterious and deadly something could be. The investigators closed their files, and the 2 planes and crews took off again for Italy. Although the flight to Europe was uneventful, the Devil's Triangle was still not through with Mr. Dick Stern. 17 years later, he and his wife were on a flight from London, England, to Miami, Florida. They were travelling on a commercial airliner that was to make scheduled stops at Bermuda and Nassau in the Bahamas. The weather was fine, and a meal was served soon after takeoff in Bermuda. Stern and his wife had met the pilot, and he joined them while they were waiting for their lunch. Stern was telling the pilot about his frightening experience in the same area during the war when he got another fright. The plane suddenly shuddered and shook, and then dropped straight down. Food and drink on the trays were thrown to the ceiling. Passengers screamed and caught hold of anything they could hang on to. The pilot fought his way back to the cockpit as swiftly as he could. The smooth flight had become a hideous nightmare. Food, drink, coats, luggage, and a host of other things were strewn throughout the cabin. There was nothing the airline stewardesses could do to help the terrified passengers. They needed all of their strength to keep from being thrown out of their seats. There were no outward signs of panic in the cockpit. The pilots had been trained to keep calm in any emergency. The lives of their passengers were their first concern, and they fought desperately to keep the plane on a level course. This was a terribly difficult thing to do. The Bristol Britannia aircraft was tossed back and forth, up and down. There was no way to bring it under control. It was as helpless as a leaf in the whirlwind. But the crew couldn't imagine why. There didn't seem to be any turbulence of any kind, neither were there any threatening clouds in their flight path. The same unknown force that Dick Stern had experienced 17 years ago was again at work. An unknown and unseen something was trying to drag the plane out of the sky. The frightening ordeal went on for 15 terrified minutes. Then it ended as suddenly as it begun. The violent turbulence subsided in a split second, and the rest of the flight to the Bahamas was as smooth and uneventful. Several of the passengers and crew, however, had to be treated for shock. Dick Stern made it safely back home. He had survived 2 terrible experiences in Devon's Triangle, and had no wish to fly through the region again. Thank you for listening. That was a short snippet of a chapter from a book I've had for many, many years. The book is entitled The Devil's Triangle, and it is by Elwood D. Baumann. It's been in publication for many years. A very, very rare book nowadays, very old. Some are available on Amazon, and I'll put a link to the book. And if Mr. Baumann is still with us, I'd like to thank him for a really wonderful book on the Bermuda Triangle, also called the Devil's Triangle. And I hope he doesn't mind me reading this brief chapter, probably one of the shortest ones in the book. The next episode will be on another Bermuda Triangle story, the tale of an aircraft known as the Star Tiger of the British South American Airways Corporation, and that will hopefully be out next Wednesday, and I hope you've enjoyed this brief interlude away from gaming and popular entertainment, Star Wars, Star Trek, a little aside to just help us all relax and give us something different to listen to. But if it's disgruntled you in any way, and it's not something you really want to hear on our channel, let me know in the comments below. Remember, like, subscribe, thumbs down, thumbs up, good comments, bad comments, but always tickle that bell so you know when new videos drop. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Dr. Smalktalk. It's been a pleasure to talk to you again. Talk to you soon.